So this is a tutorial for your Onshape part creation practice. I'm going to show you how to do the classwork. So it's the drawing sheet with classwork. And this is what it looks like. It's on the classroom. If you notice, this part has been dimensioned and it has all the dimensions necessary to create the part, which would look like this isometric shape. And you'll also notice that the front view is the view that has the hole shown as a circle. And that hole is right here, and that hole has a diameter of 0.250. We know it's a hole because it has a center point or center lines. And then these lines that extend across tell me that this hole, the center of this circle, is actually in line or collinear with this center point on this line, and the center point on that line, center point on that line, and the center point on that line. These dashed lines also tell me that this line on the top part of this part and this line on the bottom part of this part are actually in line with each other or collinear as well. So we're going to use these dimensions to create something in Onshape. So to create this part in Onshape, the first thing we need to do is we're going to go to our file folder that has messing around, because we're messing around with Onshape. We're going to open that up. We created that yesterday. I've already created this part a couple of times. So what I'm going to need to do is go ahead and create a new document. And I'll show you how to do that in just 1 second. We're going to create a new document. And when we create that new document, we're going to go over here, create. It's going to be document. And the document that I'm going to create is going to be called whatever the title of the assignment is. And the title of the assignment is Onshape Part Creation Practice. So we'll say Onshape Part Creation Practice. And this is going to be our classwork. Right. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm going to create a new document. So let me go ahead and open this classwork document back up. And so now I have my planes, and I'm going to draw or create my first sketch on my front plane. There's lots of ways to do that. The way that I'm going to choose to do it for this particular sketch is I'm going to go over to the front plane. I'm going to right click on the front plane and then create new sketch. Just like that. And I know that a new sketch has been created because an additional plane shows up showing my sketch. Now, I'm going to make this smaller so that I can actually see this a little bit better. And so now we want to make sure that we're looking at it normal to that plane or perpendicular to that plane. So I'm going to press the letter N to make it go normal. And I'm going to turn off the planes by pressing the letter P. So now that's all that's left is my sketch plane. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to just roughly draw, and there's lots of ways to do this, but I'm going to choose to do it by drawing lines. So I'm going to roughly draw the shape of my front view, and I want to make sure the dimensions are somewhat close to the dimensions that I have there. So this line on the side is going to go up around 1.5. I get it close, I'm good. 1.484 is close enough. It's going to go over about half of that, which is about 0.75, and then it's going to go up about half of the same, about 0.75, and it's going to go over about 0.75, then go down 0.75, around 0.75, go down to the bottom. Notice that there's a dash line that lines up. That's telling me these 2 points that I'm about to create are going to be collinear. And I continue along that. There's another dash line there, which is good. I'll go up, over, down, and finish the shape off by joining here. It's really important that we make sure that all of our lines are parallel to each other, horizontal in the vertical orientation. And once I get to the very end, I can either right click and escape for line, or I can press the ESC button on my keyboard. Either one will do the same thing, and you should have a shape without dimensions. If you have any dimensions on there, at this point, after you've escaped from line, you can click on the dimension and press delete. Give me a moment to do that. All right, so now we need to dimension our shape. So this is not, it looks good, but we need to make sure that it's precise. It has precise dimensions. So if we go up to the top, there's a little icon that looks like a dimension line. So that's double-headed arrow with 2 lines on either side. If we hover over it or we click it, it will let us dimension. We can also click the letter D, which does the same thing. And your pointing finger will change to a plus sign, just like this. And this will allow us to start adding some dimensions. So I'm going to add my first dimension. I'm going to go from the far left by clicking on the line to the far right by clicking on the line. And then I'm going to drag that dimension up to the top like this. And I'm going to make that dimension 2.25. 2.25. It would be a good idea to start using your 10 key, which is the number key on your keyboard. It helps you to do numbering a lot faster if you use that. So it's 2.25. I add that dimension there. Notice how the line on the left and line on the right are now black. That means that they have all the dimensions necessary for them to be constrained in position that they're located. Okay, so the dimension I'm looking at is this 2.25 here. And so I'm going to do this one more time for you guys to see how I did this. Second, let me escape from line. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Oops. I hate that I don't have my mouse with me. Let's go normal. Let's zoom in. I'm going to go ahead and escape from line. I'm going to double click on this. Go ahead and delete this. I need to pull my stuff back up. All right, so now we need to add more dimensions. And so we're going to add more dimensions by continuing to go to the dimension line. And we're going to look at our paper, and we look at our papers, and we can see that, or not our papers, but our engineering drawing sheet. And you can see that this one is what, this one right here is 1.50. That's 1.50 from the bottom to this top edge or this top corner. So I'm going to go dimension from this line right here, to this bottom line. I'm going to drag it out to the side. And I'm going to add 1.50, just like that. Okay. We're going to continue adding dimensions. I'm going to dimension from this middle line to the bottom. I'm going to drag out to the side. And I'm going to make that 0.75. Just like that. And lastly, I need the overall height of my part. So I got to go from the top to the bottom. I'm going to drag that out over here. And this is going to need to be 2.25. 2.25. Now, all the lines that are constrained, they are black now. And so I need to constrain some more lines, and I'm going to constrain those lines by continuing to add dimensions. So I'm going to need to dimension from this side to this side. It's going to be 0.75. 0.75. I'm going to need to dimension from this side. Oops, no, let's escape there. I'm going to need to dimension from this side to this side. Oops, need to press dimension. This side to this side. 0.75. And now everything is black, which means I have my stuff fully constrained and my shape is ready to be extruded. Once you're done, you're going to click on the check mark on the Sketch 1 box. So we're going to click on check mark. And we're gonna change this Sketch 1. We're gonna rename it. We're gonna call it Front Sketch. Front Sketch. All right, get in the habit of naming your sketches. That way it's easy to go back and find the different sketches. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and extrude this. And we're gonna extrude it. If we look at our engineering drawing page, it says it has a depth of 0.750. So I can right click on the shape and then extrude. That's one way I could do it. Or I can right click on the shape and then go over to extrude up here or press the letter E. Where it says depth, I'm going to make that 0.75. Oops, 0.75. And now I can check my shape by going over here to this camera and render options. And I can put it into the isometric view, just like this. And you'll note that it's as deep as it is wide, this segment. Okay, so if your shape looks like that, you've done everything right. Let's go ahead and click on the front view. And we're going to create a sketch on the front view. So we're going to right click and create new sketch on the front view. Now, Onshape has this ability to find center points of lines. So we're going to use that ability to create a circle, but we want that circle to be centered in the middle of this upper section, just like it shows here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the center point circle tool. And then I'm not going to do any clicking. I'm just going to drag my mouse around until a little yellow square appears. Once that little yellow square appears, don't click anything. Just drag it so that you can see it. That's the center of this line segment. You notice if I drag down, it shows the center all the way down till it hits the center of the other line. Now I can also find the center of this line segment on the left. So we found the center of the line segment on the top, and we're gonna do the one on the left. So we're gonna go over to the left, and we're gonna drag across. Watch what happens when we get to the middle, the very middle. There's two dashed lines. It's showing me that it's centered along the left line and the top line. From there, I can create a circle of any size. I'm going to make my circle. I'm going to drag it out, click on it like this. And for now, I'm going to hit enter. So drag it out, hit enter. Doesn't really matter the size right now. We're going to fix the size. So we can fix the size. It's really easy to fix the size. We're going to hit escape to get out of our circle tool. We're going to double click on our dimension that we had. And we're going to change that dimension to 0.250. Looks like that. Move this dimension over to the side so it's not in the way. Once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and click the check mark, and then I have a circle that's 0.250 in diameter. At this point, we're going to go ahead and extrude this circle. And we're going to extrude the circle by going over to the circle. We're going to click on it, and it should change to a slightly yellowish color. Then I'm going to right click and extrude. Now, if I rotate my piece a bit, I'll show you that it's actually adding it to it. We don't want to add, we want to remove it because we're cutting a hole. So we're going to click remove. The depth is more than the depth that I actually need, but it's okay because there's nothing behind it. And then I'm going to go ahead and click the check mark for OK. And there's the part that we created. Now to get an isometric view, we click on the camera render and options, and we go to isometric. At this point, I don't want you taking out your cameras and taking a picture of it. You don't have to do a screenshot of it. What you're going to do is you're going to actually send me a PNG. And what a PNG file stands for, it stands for, I think it stands for private numeric graphic, I believe. So that's going to allow you to take this part and put it into any document without a background. So it's going to remove the background from your part. You're going to submit this part to me in the classroom. And the way we do that is we're going to actually go over here to the three lines next to Onshape. We're going to click on the three lines next to Onshape, and we're going to go to print. Now, we're not going to print it because you printing it out really won't do anything for you. You're going to download the image. If you're on a Chromebook, your downloads, I believe, go to your Google Chrome. Your Google Drive. If you're on a regular computer, they go on to your desktop. If you're using Chrome as your browser, you'll see a little image, or not an image, but a download icon in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm on a Mac right now, so my downloads actually appear over here in my downloads. Once you open up your classroom and you get ready to submit it, you're going to go to where it says on your classroom. You're going to go to add or create. Did you know? Just go to download. That's okay. So drag that over. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, make it. Yes. Okay, right there. So you're going to go to add or create. Then you're going to add a file. And then you can just drag it into there, into the where it says add, drag, or drop, or something like that. Once it's uploaded, all you have to do is the second assignment, which is the homework, using the same process or a process of your own. Make sure that you have the shape created correctly with the correct dimensions, and it should be an isometric view, an image in isometric view that you submit to the classroom.